So this is a clip taken from the Friday Kids subreddit. It's called Biological Primal Desires, and it features Bryan Callen making some very, very interesting remarks around consent that look a bit dicey when you think about his recent allegations and the reason why he's been quote unquote cancelled. But this is Bryan Callen in all his glory, talking about consent, talking about the art. The thing that really makes me laugh is the fact that he was willing to die on this kind of consent hill. And I remember him doing this before, where he used to go on these really unhinged rants around consent, around cancel culture. I think this might have been around a time when Matt Damon said that thing where I think when the first cases of Me Too were coming out, there was a lot of stories of people essentially, basically what you would deem to be sexual misconduct. Well, I don't know, touching someone's bum or something without their permission or something on those kind of lines. And I guess in the first sort of like, really divisive reaction, or no, the very visceral reaction when the first Me Too cases were coming out, there were some women that were so angry and so flipping, hateful and went to get the revenge on men and stuff, and were just kind of chucking as many charges of people as possible to kind of just bury them because of the pain that they were feeling and what they were going through. Some of them were just talking out of emotion, and some of them were labeling the guys that were touching somebody's bum in the same category as somebody that did the R word in terms of rape, right? And Bryan would be going really hard on it and being, no, that's not the same thing, blah blah blah. I remember at the same time that Matt Damon said something similar, where he said, we need to have a differentiate between, when somebody does something untoward and somebody legitimately tries to physically pin you down and, whatever it may be. And that was a conversation around that sort of time. But Matt Damon kind of got cancelled and kind of got told to shut up and stuff and mind his business, and he never said anything again. But that was around the same sort of time. But Bryan Callen's reaction to it was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more high pitched, a little bit more passionate than Matt Damon. I thought Matt Damon was more so a societal observation. Hey, let's just relax. Let's not deem everybody that, maybe has a bad date with somebody as a rapist. Maybe they're a creep. Maybe they don't have manners. Maybe they don't have any game, but they're not a rapist. That kind of idea. But Bryan went the extra step. Now looking back at it, it makes me think, did he know all that time? Because, a lot of those journalists, a lot of those hit pieces that they put out, especially the one that they put out against Bryan Callen in the Los Angeles Times, where they interviewed 4 of his alleged accusers, they had to interview those people. They had to cross-reference a lot of the flipping, a lot of the evidence that was kind of provided to them, some of the names and dates and whatnot. So I'm sure they kind of went to him for comment. So I wonder if he knew from ages ago that there was this bubbling sentiment or hit piece that was going to be written about the comedy scene or people involved in the comedy store, him specifically, and he was trying to preemptively get in front of it in a weird way, because it now makes a lot of sense. Because I remember back then I was thinking, why is this guy talking so passionately and really trying to defend the right of men who get involved in dicey kind of situations with women? Why is he so passionate about it if he hasn't done it himself? Like, why does he care? And the fact that now it's transpired that he got accused of what he got accused of is making me think he might have known all along that this day of reckoning was coming. Or maybe that was just his subconscious screaming and trying to save himself before something happened, or to kind of plead his case, because he knew he had some very, dicey, almost borderline cases in his book, because maybe he has a kink, maybe he has something. I'm not too sure, but there's something definitely there. But I also find it hilarious also that off the back of this, we never really heard any kind of explanation. I know maybe it's not the best thing to do. You don't want to shine more light on it, especially if you think you're innocent. But I just find that interesting off the back of it. Like, we had a very detailed account from the accusers as to what went down, why they didn't like it, why it made him feel uncomfortable. But you never really got a response from him in terms of explaining his side of the story. Hey, I know this is what you thought of the situation, but this is how I saw it from my side. I'm sorry I went out. I mean, we never really got that kind of a clear up on it or anything. And he kind of moved on and didn't really address it too much, which makes me believe there might have been some truth to it, especially when you read some of the comments about him saying that, you know, you'll be my, I think there's some screenshots from the flipping video actually that says, you know, you're going to be my girlfriend now or something. It sounds like this stuff that he will say, you know, like this screenshot. So I said, I'm Catherine, it's me, please. This is not what I wanted to do right now. And he's like, you're going to love this. We're just going to get this out of the way. You're going to love this. You're going to be my girlfriend. These are things that he said in a joke on the podcast, right? Not to be like, you know, not to kind of bury the dude, but he said it out of his own mouth in terms of bits. So it kind of sounds like stuff that he would have done in the past. But I wonder, man, I wonder if he knew back then. Maybe not about the article. Maybe he was kind of him, and saying, or maybe it was just him feeling guilty about the things he maybe have done, having those skeletons in the closet when to get in front of it. But so weird, isn't it? I find it very, very interesting that that was a thing that happened, a moment in history that we never really got any kind of clarification as to what actually went down. Like I said before, you don't want to probably bring more light to it, so he's never going to really publicly address it. But I find that ultimately super, super fascinating that it was never really publicly addressed and kind of just left to kind of move on. But hey, what can you do?